Spotlight is a production of CTNY, the Catholic Television Network of Youngstown. It seeks to spotlight people, places, and events from around the Diocese of Youngstown that promote the new gospel of joy called for by Pope Francis. Your program host is Father James Korda.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight. I'm Father Jim Korda. During this series, we're celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Diocese of Youngstown. On the show today is President Richard Jusseaume from Walsh University. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Father Jim. Pleasure to be here with you.
It's always a pleasure to have you and Walsh University as our guests. We love the university. We love the wonderful work and ministry that happens there, and it's an intimate part of our diocesan church. As we celebrate these 75 years as the Diocese of Youngstown, tell us about the beginnings of Walsh, how it started, what was the impetus for it all?
Okay, well, Walsh actually had a predecessor in southern Maine, tiny little college called Lemonade College, about 70 students, where the brothers were preparing young men to staff their high schools in New England. And during that time, prior to becoming bishop, Father Malone was studying at University of Notre Dame with one of the brothers, Brother Robert Francoeur, who was getting his doctorate there. And as they left their studies and went back to their respective geographies, then Father Malone said, you know, Brother Robert, if you ever decide to move that college, give me a call. About 1958, the brothers thought those resources were not being used effectively, so they began to look around Massachusetts, New Jersey, and so on. And then Brother Robert remembered that invitation from Father Malone, called him, and he said, come and visit. Our bishop is Bishop Walsh. He'd love to talk to you. Brothers came to visit, and Bishop Walsh said, I invite you to our diocese. I will even lend you money to build a residence for the brothers. The only thing I ask is that you staff a high school that I'm building in Louisville, Ohio. And that was St. Thomas Aquinas High School. So while we're not a diocesan university, if it were not for the diocese, we would not be here, and 58 years later, flourishing the way we are now.
Sure.
And so the diocese was integral in the founding of Walsh University in this diocese.
And obviously it took its name by the second bishop of the diocese.
We're actually going to call it Canton College. Fortunately, that did not happen because we were not in Canton. But the Attorney General's office had notified us that a small secretarial school had the name. Bishop Walsh had helped us get started by giving us that loan to build a building. And so we asked him if he would mind if we named it after him, and we became Walsh University.
Sure. You know, as the Diocese of Youngstown is celebrating its significant anniversary, obviously Walsh University has celebrated milestones. What are some of those milestones in the life of the university that are significant that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I guess I think of those in terms of who was bishop at what time. So Bishop Walsh is the man who got us started. And during those first 10 years when we were awaiting accreditation, he was very supportive and worked closely with the then president, Brother Tom Farrell. After 10 years, we got accreditation. Brother Farrell retired, took a job with the diocese in Catholic Charities, and we moved on from there. And of course, next was Bishop Malone. He served on our board. He was very instrumental in helping to guide us in those early years, and trying to make sure that we didn't make mistakes that would get us in financial problems or otherwise. After his service, along came Bishop Tobin. He too was a regular on the board. He had a great mind for finances, so he's always helpful in his own way. And then these last years, of course, Bishop Murray's supportive as well. So we're independent in the sense that we're owned by a board of directors, but naturally we could not be here without permission and support of the diocese, and we have always gotten that. There has never been an incident of any kind, of any serious nature, between Walsh and the diocese. Wonderful partnership.
We know that the Diocese of Youngstown has a mission statement that really guides and directs it. What would be the mission and like the charism of Walsh that really helps to guide and direct all that you do?
Well, you know, that charism is part of the reason that we're so comfortable here. Walsh was founded to educate working class families and their children. 46% of our students first ever in family to go to college. 30% from families at or below the poverty level. We are educating working class families. Obviously, in a faith environment, in our case, the Catholic faith, and we take that very seriously. While we're quite inclusive, after all, we have students from 35 different countries. In a typical week at Walsh, there are 13 masses, Bible study groups, Divine Mercy chaplet groups, nighttime prayer groups in the residence halls and elsewhere. And so we simply start with the belief that we all have a faith journey that we're on, and for whatever time you spend at Walsh, you'll be able to move forward on that journey. But in a very special way, in addition to making sure that students who graduate are professionally competent, we add another piece. We don't think it's enough just to be ready for a job or grad school. We think there has to be an understanding that you can't just take from a group, you have to give back. And so preparation of leaders in service, high priority. Last year, 47,000 hours of volunteer service by undergraduates in Tanzania, in Uruguay, in Uganda, in Haiti, in Mexico, in helping people do their taxes, in volunteering at community clinics, and so on. So the three pieces: working class families, faith-based in the Catholic tradition, leaders in service to others. That's what we're all about.
In our last few minutes of our first segment, tell us why it's so important to have that service component, because oftentimes that's kind of lacking in who we are sometimes as human beings in our communities. Why is it important for us to give and to be of service to others?
Well, it's very easy as one generation rolls into another, and obviously I'm quite familiar with the millennials. There's a tremendous sense of entitlement on the one hand, but on the other hand, if you can articulate a need with some degree of passion, they respond, and they respond magnificently. But they don't always know what to do. When I travel the country and visit with alumni, and I find our alumni helping at their church, civic organizations, Boy Scouts, Big Brothers, I feel that we've accomplished something, because while everybody might have the willingness to serve, they don't know how, and they don't know what that means. They don't know how to approach it. Without that, what are we? We're just on our own journey taking care of ourselves. None of us will ever be fulfilled doing just that.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk briefly about that sense of diversity. You alluded to it by the makeup of the university. Why is diversity important?
Well, we think that while it's easy for us to say, well, 90% of us from Ohio, this is the Midwest, this is where God would put the Garden of Eden if he were going to create one today, we know that that's not the reality. Whether it's economics or religion or politics, it's a global environment. And many of our students are from Ohio. Many have never left Ohio. Many have never been on a plane. And I took one young lady with me on a pilgrimage a year ago who had never been to an airport. And the next morning woke up in Paris wondering how you buy pizza with an American dollar. I think to the extent that we want them to serve, and we want them to serve beyond their comfort zone, preparing them for service is critical. I also think that's critical for the survival of our parishes and our very church itself. And so we take that upon ourselves as one of the things that you will graduate with is a comfort level with giving back and serving others.
We're going to take a break, and after the break, they're going to watch a promotional piece about Walsh University that gives a real sense of what it's all about. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Miles from the first Catholic parish in all of Ohio, in a place called Canton, Catholics gathered in 1817 to celebrate Mass with Father Fenwick. Because of limited building space, the Mass was held outdoors under a huge oak tree. The spot, near the present Church of St. John the Baptist, which was established in 1823 as the second oldest parish in the Diocese of Youngstown. The oak tree grew there until 1906, when it was struck by lightning. To preserve it, the parishioners took the wood and carved a chair out of it, which remains in the church today. In 2012, St. John the Baptist was elevated to a basilica. Congratulations, Catholic Diocese, for celebrating 75 years with pride in the past and faith in the future.
So I guess if you think about Walsh University and where we started, if we were to have a theme song, it would probably be something like The Impossible Dream, because that's sort of what it seems like to me. The Brothers of Christian Instruction came to Ohio, from Maine actually, to found a college and to do it in a faith-based environment. The reason it grew, the reason it flourished, is that they had a tremendous sense of hospitality and they have a sense of inclusion. To this day, there's still that sense of welcoming, that sense of belonging, and a sense that regardless of where you have been or where you are from, you're welcome here, and we're going to help and support you as you go about in your own faith journey and your own development as a human being.
Really, my experience has been absolutely amazing. You know, these 4 years have flown faster than I ever thought they could have. But I wouldn't change a second of any of them. Learning more about myself, not only who I am and who I want to be, but also spiritually, is something that I'll never forget.
What made Walsh the right fit for me was just unique, and all the professors seemed interested in helping you engage in learning and accomplishing your goals and tasks in life.
Definitely I made the right choice in coming to Walsh. The faculty's great. Everyone knows everybody by first name. Small class spaces, which is great. Teachers can interact with you one-on-one all the time. And Walsh University actually offers really great scholarship opportunities. I became a member of the honors program here and got a presidential scholarship, so I get full tuition, and a lot of other students do as well.
Walsh prepared me for my career in more ways than one. I was a government foreign affairs major while I was here, and that major and the professors in that major really gave me a foundation in reading and writing and researching skills, and those are things I do every single day as an attorney.
I was actually on clinical rotations with Walsh University when I was a student here, and one of our clinical rotations was on the oncology unit. I was walking around on the floor and I had the opportunity to meet the manager, and she asked me what university I was from. I told her Walsh University, and she was very proud about that because she's had a lot of experience with Walsh University students where it was a positive experience. So she told me to fill out an application, and it was honestly about a week later where she reviewed my application and I received the job.
There are a lot of athletes here on campus, and everyone is very supportive because it is a smaller community and we all know each other very well. As an athlete in undergrad, it would help me to manage my time, and that's something that I'm dealing with today as an attorney. It's all about time management, and as an athlete in undergrad, it really helps you learn those skills.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, the typical freshman that came in and didn't want to do anything, it's staying around the dorms, didn't really know anything, and it was at the end of that year that I really started to get involved and go on service trips, and that just kind of jump-started everything for me. And now, I think I've been on at least 6 service trips while I've been here. I came in here thinking that I wanted to go to law school, and now I want to go into campus ministry. And I never would have learned that if I didn't come here and get involved in the things that I did.
The range that you learn in the classrooms and just the different internships you're able to get. Like I've been working with Hattie Larm from developmentally disabled kids to farming. And you put those two together, you wouldn't know where to mix them if, you didn't have any structure. And it's just, those are two opposite things on different playing fields, but they come together in a unique way.
Michael came to Walsh on a football scholarship. And his sophomore year, he began to explore other options. And because he's actively been engaged with his mother, who owns a daycare in Cleveland, he was curious about children, but he wanted to stay focused on finance and marketing and management. So for him, the opportunity to work with Hattie Larum gave him the opportunity to bring a lifestyle from his personal world to the classroom, and then through the classroom create career options that are going to be unique and very profitable.
My background from Walsh University was very unique in that it prepared me for the current job that I have now. I founded my own company 2 years ago, and I started to look for potential collaborators. And it dawned on me, what a better place than Walsh University. We can work on a real live project, a project that has implications to treat human beings that have cancer. Most undergraduate universities are not going to have that capability. So what this provides to Walsh University is not only can they do the book work here on campus and take advantage of some of the laboratory courses and get training in terms of research, but now, instead of doing research on a project which comes out of a textbook, the students here at Walsh University are doing research on real-life projects that have real implications.
Sometimes when I'm in lab, I forget how big the project is because I'm working on such a small part of it, and I'll just be sitting there and I'll think back and I'm like, oh my goodness, this could actually help the entire world. Coming to such a small school, I guess you don't think that you can get involved in something this big, but Walsh definitely works to get every single one of their students involved in something that will further their career. And since they know you so well, they know where to put you so that you'll enjoy it the most.
I really believe that we're very deliberately seeking to help a generation move forward, and that we're not all about prestige and elitism and being the most expensive, but we're about helping real people with real issues, with preparing them for careers and turning out the kind of people who go back to their families, their churches, their communities, and their organizations and know how to give back.
Really, it's the relationships that you build here, and it's the people that you meet that aren't only there as the professors or your mentors or your advisors. They're really there to push you and make you learn more about yourself. You're going to meet people that are going to impact your life so much that you'll never be able to forget the experiences you have here.
I would say if you're looking to come to Walsh University, just set up a tour, just come on the campus and look at it for yourself. I mean, to look at it on the internet is one thing, but actually come and visit is another, and I think you'll really enjoy it. We have great tour guides. We're going to show you the best that Walsh has to offer, and I think you'll be really excited about coming.
If I were a prospective student looking at Walsh University, why should I attend Walsh University? It's a liberal arts university. And this is very important. It's creating a well-rounded student that can tackle any of the obstacles that you may find in life.
If you're looking for a university to where you feel, like I said before, that you can grow as a person, that you're a part of a close-knit family, where you'll have more than just educational values instilled in you, and you'll have relationships for lifelong, this is the place where you want to come.
The first Catholic parish established in Portage County in 1831 near Randolph-Suffield was St. Joseph Church. Years later, John Newman, who would become the first American male to be canonized, was sent there to give a mission to help heal the divisions that occurred between the German Catholics who had settled there. Perhaps that is what made him a saint. The parish is also noted for its school, which dates back to 1832, being the oldest English-speaking school west of the Alleghenies. The church is also famous for its Lourdes Shrine, which has welcomed pilgrims since 1927 and is the only exact replica of the world-famous grotto at Lourdes in France. Congratulations, Catholic Diocese, for celebrating 75 years with pride in the past and faith in the future.
My name is Sister Mary Claudina, and I run a home for abandoned children. I want to take care of children who have no parents, because luckily I come from a very loving family. There are 8 of us. And I remember when one of my cousins got sick and she called my mom and said, "Mom, the doctor has said that I might not have too long to live. Will you please raise my 3 children for me?" I remember we had a meeting at home, and my dad called a meeting, and my mom was explaining to all of us. And my father said, this powerful word, he said, "We already have 8. What is 3 more?" We learn to care for each other, to love each other, to fight among each other, to make up, to forgive, to just to be a family. And I think that's what I learned from home, and I wanted to share that with children who do not have that love and that opportunity just to know what a family is all about.
After the Catholics of Warren stopped meeting in their homes and organized a structured parish, they used a former Episcopalian church for their worship. St. Mary's Mission was established in 1837, yet the first resident pastor did not come to the parish until 1868. Other parishes quickly grew up in Trumbull County, including St. Stephen Niles in 1853, St. Patrick Hubbard in 1869, St. Vincent de Paul Vienna in 1871, now called St. Thomas the Apostle, and St. Rose Gerard in 1892. The other 15 parishes in the county were established after the turn of the 20th century. Congratulations, Catholic Diocese, for celebrating 75 years with pride in the past and faith in the future. Welcome back to our show. I'm talking with President Richard Jusseaume from Walsh University. We just watched that wonderful piece about Walsh. One of the areas that I'd like us to talk about is the international aspect of the university. It's not just located in North Canton, Ohio, but there's satellites.
That's true. You know, I first got to Walsh in 1963 as a student from Massachusetts. And even at that beginning, even in that very first graduating class, we had students from New Brunswick, from Seychelles Islands, from Uganda. Because from the very beginning, the founding brothers themselves had a presence in about 26 countries. So an international environment was important to them. As that continued, though, over the years, we never, in those first 20 years or so, actively recruited international students. And now we do, with the result that this year, 35 different countries represented. The newest building on campus is called the Global Learning Center, partly because we wanted our students to walk off that academic quadrangle into this new facility and feel that they had left Stark County, they had left Ohio, and they were watching on a huge screen a class going on in Castel Gandolfo near Rome, or a class in Uganda, or our students working with children in Uruguay. The feeling being that we're all part of a global population, which we really are. But what's wonderful as well is, obviously, not every student is going to travel abroad, though that's available to every student. But these 37 students bring their cultures, their own ideas. It's like a mini United Nations. Once a year, the International Club has a dinner. And each of the 35 countries represented, the students themselves cook their own ethnic foods. Almost 500 people come to that. They host it, they cook it, they serve it, they entertain with singing and dancing and native costumes. And all of a sudden, the students from Ohio and Indiana and Pennsylvania are looking around and thinking, wow, this is a whole different world. And we think that's part of education. We think that's part of them having a sense that we're all God's children. We're all eminently deserving of dignity and respect. And we get to experience and feel a little bit of that on campus with the opportunity to study abroad in many, many programs that we have.
You know, I often think what a wonderful role you have as a not only as president of the university, but as a mentor for young people. You know, I think of young people present in our churches nowadays. That presence is not as visible as it once was, perhaps. What do you do, or what can you help us understand of what the need is for the young people in our communities and in our churches? What can we do, or how can we learn from them?
I think part of it at times is we have our own prejudice of they don't want to go to church. They don't want to do this. They don't want to pray. They don't want to say rosary. We have found the opposite is true. If you come to the 8 p.m. Mass on Sundays, that chapel is full of students who don't have to be there, but choose to be there. A number of families in the area who are having a little trouble getting those teenagers to come to Mass, they bring in the Walsh at 8 o'clock on Sunday night, where they're among 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are singing, who are respectful, who pray, who receive communion. But beyond that, it is the students themselves who have organized adoration on Mondays and Thursdays from noon till 8 p.m. It's the students who attend adoration every day, a half hour before every Mass. It's the students who form their own prayer groups in the residence halls. I think sometimes we adults don't give them enough credibility. Given the opportunity, given the environment, given it's a priest or a campus minister or someone to work with, they are tremendous at responding. We've been doing pilgrimages now for over 10 years. There is no problem recruiting students for a 2-week pilgrimage. We have to believe more in them and take an assumptive approach that they want to. But sometimes we have to get out of the way and let them do it in their own way.
Good advice. We've got a few minutes left of our time together. During this anniversary year, we think of those people that have inspired us over these many years. Who has inspired you, or what has inspired you to do what you do, not only in your professional life, but also in your personal life?
Well, I suppose part of it is fear. My wife keeps elbowing, kicking me, and telling me, hey, I'm going to heaven. You really do want to come along. But I think beyond that, over the years at Walsh, I was there the day that Mother Teresa, now St. Teresa of Calcutta, was on campus. And she talked about the need to take care of our children and to take care of our families. And she actually said that she felt sorry for Americans in a way. She considered us one of the poorest countries in the world because we didn't have time to have dinner with our children. We didn't have time to spend time in families. We had so much to do. She was inspiring. Some of the brothers who came through, who were teaching, who were living there in the early days on $1.09 per person per day, who were in administration, who taught, who planted trees, who helped mow the lawn. They truly believed that if they planted seeds, God would bring the harvest. And I saw that as a student. I saw it as a young administrator. I saw it with a man named Brother Francis Bluen, who spent 14 years as president, who always said, if we're not making a difference, we don't have a right to exist as a university. And those kinds of people were really inspiring. Lots of them on campus.
Yes. Well, President Jusseaume, as we celebrate the diocese's 75th anniversary, we know that Walsh is an intimate part of that. And we thank you for the work that you're doing there, but also for the lives that you are touching in a significant way. So we thank you for that. And we want you to know that our prayers and best wishes for you personally and for your staff and for your wonderful students.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us. Have a good day, and God be with you.
Spotlight has been a production of CTNY, the Catholic Television Network of Youngstown. Your program host was Father James Korda.